They said it was too big. 'Twas too vulnerable to survive modern war. They said it would never fly into enemy territory, never land where missiles could reach it, never do more than carry boxes and vehicles. But then the C-17 Globemaster III did something no one expected. It flew straight into the heart of war, landed where fighters refused to go, and delivered not just cargo, but survival. Hoppy! Antri. This is not the story of a fighter jet. This is the story of a giant, a flying fortress without guns, that became one of the most powerful weapons of modern warfare. The birth of a giant at the end of the Cold War. The world was changing. Wars were no longer slow and predictable. They were sudden, brutal, and fast. The United States military needed something new. Not a bomber. Not a fighter. They needed a plane that could move an entire war in a single night. Tanks. Humvees. Helicopters. Troops. Medical units. All delivered anywhere on Earth. At a moment's notice. That demand gave birth to the C-17 Globemaster III, a massive aircraft with a wingspan wider than a football field, for powerful engines, and the strength to lift more than 170,000 pounds. But power alone was not enough. This aircraft had to do the impossible. It had to land on short, broken runways, dirt strips, war-damaged airfields, places where large aircraft simply could not survive. IT will never survive combat. Critics laughed at the idea. A slow, unarmed aircraft flying into war zones. They sighed. One missile and it gone. One enemy fighter and it's finished. But the C-17 was never meant to fight the enemy. It was meant to defeat distance. Its designers gave it advanced countermeasures, missile warning systems, flare dispensers, electronic warfare defenses. It could detect a missile launch and react in seconds, but its greatest weapon was something else: precision. The C-17 could descend steeply, land fast, unload within minutes, and take off again before the enemy could react. Part 3. First real test. War zones. When modern conflicts erupted, the C-17 was everywhere. Middle East, Afghanistan, Iraq, mountain airstrips, desert runways, enemy territory. While fighters screamed overhead, the C-17 came in low and heavy, delivering armored vehicles to frontline units, dropping paratroopers deep behind enemy lines, evacuating wounded soldiers under fire. Pilots flew vision goggles, engines roaring, radar watching for threats. One mistake, one delay, and hundreds of lives could be lost. Yet again and again, the C-17 delivered. The humanitarian warrior. But the C-17 did not only carry war. When earthquakes destroyed cities, when floods erased entire regions, when civilians were trapped with no food and no medicine, the same aircraft that carried tanks now carried hope, medical supplies, food, rescue vehicles. It landed where airports were destroyed, runways cracked, infrastructure gone, in disaster zones. People didn't hear bombs. They heard engines, and new help had arrived. The C-17 became a symbol, not just of military power, but of global reach and responsibility. Why nitrogen monoxide other plane can replace IT. Many aircraft can carry cargo, Few can do what the C-17 does. It can fly intercontinental distances without refueling. It can land short, unload fast, and take off heavy. It can operate day or night, in peace or war. That is why, even today, decades after its first flight, no true replacement exists. New aircraft are built. Technology advances. But the C-17 remains irreplaceable because it is not just a plane. It is an entire strategy in the sky. The pilots who fly the giant, flying a C-17 is not about speed or dogfights. It is about responsibility. Pilots carry entire units, entire leaves. One landing can decide a battle. One delay can cost a city. These pilots are trained to remain calm when alarms sound, when missiles are detected, when runways disappear beneath them. They do not chase glory. They deliver outcomes. When everything goes wrong, modern war is chaos. Plans fail. Coordinates change. Threats appear without warning. And when everything goes wrong, that is when the C-17 is tested the most. There have been missions where pilots were diverted mid-air. Runways suddenly declared unsafe. Enemy air defenses detected minutes before landing. Turning back was not an option. Inside the cargo bay, troops sat silent. Vehicles locked in place. Medical teams waiting to receive the wounded. The pilots had seconds to decide. Land or abort. Risk the aircraft or risk the mission. Again and again, the C-17 went in. Steep tactical descents. Maximum braking. Reverse thrust screaming against the night. Because failure did not mean losing a plane. It meant losing lives. The C-17 became the aircraft commanders trusted when no one else could go. The day the world watched. There are moments when a single aircraft becomes history, when chaos fills the ground and the sky becomes the last escape. In one of the most intense evacuations of modern times, the C-17 flew non-stop. Crowds surged. Runways overwhelmed. Time running out. One aircraft, then another, each landing under pressure, each takeoff overloaded, each flight carrying thousands to safety. Crews worked without rest. Pilots flying on instinct. Loadmasters pushing the limits of human endurance. The C-17 was not designed for headlines. Yet the world watched as it carried hope. Out of fear. Out of collapse. In that moment, the C-17 was no longer a military asset. It was humanity's lifeline. The legacy of a silent giant. One day, new aircraft will replace it. Technology will advance. Names will change. But the legacy of the C-17 will remain. Not because of speed. Not because of weapons. But because of reliability. It was there. Every chimney. Anywhere. When wars began. When disasters struck. When evacuation was the only option left. The C-17 never demanded attention. Never chased glory. It simply carried the weight of the world and kept flying. And long after the last engine shuts down, history will remember that modern warfare was not shaped only by those who destroyed, but by those who delivered. Because without the C-17, many battles would nothing. The crew nitrogen monoxide 1 talks about. Every great aircraft is remembered But the people inside it rarely are. The C-17 does not fly alone. It is flown by trust. Pilots, loadmasters, engineers, crew chiefs. Each mission begins long before takeoff. Checklists repeated from memory. Cargo balanced to the inch. Fuel calculated down to the minute. Inside the cockpit, there is no hero music. Only quiet professionalism. Loadmasters walk the cargo bay in darkness, securing vehicles, checking chains, knowing that one mistake at 30,000 feet could end everything. These crews do not chase combat, yet they fly closer to danger than most. They land heavy, take off heavier, and return without applause, because their reward is simple. Everyone came back. When the engines finally fall silent, one day, every aircraft flies its last mission. The engines cool. The ramp closes. The lights shut off. The C-17 will one day rest on a quiet runway. Paint faded. Chitties worn. Stories locked inside its metal skin. But its impact will not fade. Because somewhere, a soldier remembers the night it arrived just in time. A medic remembers the wounded it carried home. A civilian remembers the sound of hope overhead. The C-17 Globemaster III was never built to inspire fear. It was built to deliver certainty. That help could arrive. That distance could be defeated. That even in chaos, order could land on a runway. And when history writes about modern warfare, it will not only speak of those who fought, it will speak of the giant that carried them there. Silent, relentless, unforgettable. What the sky remembers. The sky has seen everything. Fighters tearing through clouds. Bombers shaking the earth. Missiles burning upward like fire. But it also remembers the giants, the ones that carried the weight of others. The C-17 did not chase the enemy. It chased Chimi. It chased distance. It chased the moment before it was too late. It flew when roads were gone, when borders were closed, when runways were broken, when hope was almost finished. Every landing was a promise. Every takeoff was proof that someone was coming, that someone still cared. Long after the last mission, long after the final engine shutdown, the sky will remember. A massive shadow crossing continents, for engines steady and calm, carrying soldiers toward duty and bringing them back home. Because power is not always measured in destruction. Sometimes it is measured in arrival. And the C-17 Globemaster III was the sound of arrival. The night landing. Imagine this. A dark, hostile region. Lights. Nube copy runway. Enemy threats detected. Fuel low. Chimi critical. The C-17 descends steeply. Engines screaming. Wheels touch down hard. Ramp openings. Vehicles roll out. Troops deploy. Minutos later. The giant lifts back into the night. Mission complete. New headlines. New medals. Just success. History remembers fighters. Bombers. Aces. But wars are not won by fire alone. They are one movement. By supply. By the ability to appear anywhere. Anytime. The C-17 Globemaster III never chased the enemy. Yet it changed the battlefield forever. Because